Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. The Flex Network is back on a Friday night. I am the people here call me Flex Mike at Flex Mike 11 on Twitter. My guest today is a friend of mine, big time Seahawks fan here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. His name is Rico. He is on Twitter at Rico Connects. Longtime Seahawks fan. When I first transplanted to Texas, he was the main guy when I was looking for other Seahawks fans so I can feel a little bit at home. He was the main guy that connected me with the people. But Rico, man, how you doing?
I'm good, man. First time on here. I'm enjoying it. I'm liking it so far. You know, they could have heard what we were talking about beforehand. Some of this energy is going to definitely carry over.
Yeah, for sure. So Rico, tell the people a little bit about yourself, what you do, kind of how you found your way to becoming a Seahawks fan, kind of I guess where you were, what city you grew up in, all that good stuff.
Man, so I've been living in Texas since 1984. Born in Seattle, straight out of Columbia City, man. Down there on the south side, closer going towards Rainier Beach. My dad was in the Navy, retired. My dad and mom met in Seattle, and my mother's originally from Texas. So her parents were getting a little bit older, and we relocated to Texas when I was in basically just a seventh grader. Never switched to being a Cowboy fan, man. Basically, I stayed Seattle sports, everything until the Seahawks, the Supersonics got screwed over. And then I switched over to the Mavericks. And I can't lie, I did switch to the Rangers, man. At the 84, Rangers and the Sonics, not the Sonics, but the Mariners were equally bad. And so it was like, if I'm gonna be living in the city of Arlington, where, you know, obviously now the Cowboys play, but we just built a new $1 billion stadium for the Rangers, then you know, it was just a situation where I said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and go, because I went to a lot of Rangers games as a kid, man. So but never switched to Cowboy, never owned anything Cowboy. Just, you know, even, and it was tough, man. I mean, not tough in the sense that I was a hater, but man, in 92, you know, I graduated high school in 90. So, you know, 92, 93, 95. I mean, it was Dallas Cowboys, everything, you know, and I was really kind of the age of getting out and being social and going to nightclubs and stuff like that. And man, there were times, particularly in 95, that's when Dion moved here from San Francisco, and he had Primetime 21, man. And I vividly remember there's three distinct memories I have of Primetime 21. One is Dion just decked out at the door, shades and all, just looking super starish and just watching everybody come in. Another time I was dancing on the dance floor and bumped into somebody behind me. I turned around to see who it was. It was Jason Kidd. And so Kidd is at Primetime 21. And then the third memory that I will never forget is seeing Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx walked into Primetime 21, man, and this dude had like 5 supermodels with him. And they were all just like rubbing his chest. And at one point, the chicks started slapping each other's hands, like, "Don't rub his chest. I'm going to rub his chest." I mean, it was an awesome time to be, you know, early 20s in Dallas, Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys. But like I said, even at that, I mean, I enjoyed the city, but I never switched my allegiances, man. Not for the Seahawks.
Right, that's so crazy. I mean, Jamie Foxx, what a tough life he's living. You know, he can sing, act, dance. He can, you know, he's cut up muscle wise. He can do stand up comedy. He can do impressions. Like, oh, when God was making him, he just mixed all the drinks into one cup and just said, "Here, you get it all, man."
He's a talented guy.
Yeah, for sure.
He's doing a Mike Tyson movie, right?
Yeah, I did see that. That's actually. I had heard about him doing it, and I thought I originally thought to myself, I'm like, man, what a perfect person to cast for that movie. Because if you think about it, they're probably pretty similar in
Jamie
height.
Foxx was the perfect person to cast for Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
not saying that he's going to do bad, but I don't think that I would have just automatically said Jamie Foxx. Now, Ray, you forgot that was Jamie Foxx.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, he was so good at that. No, the reason I say that is because I feel like when I see Jamie Foxx in a movie, especially when he's doing a role where he isn't not necessarily just natural at it becomes a job for him, a thing that he needs to kind of tackle and take over, and he dedicates himself to that. And I think the world saw that with Ray. I mean, he did an incredible job with Ray.
Man,
And if you've ever heard any of his stand-up stuff where he did his Mike Tyson impersonation, you're like, man, this guy is spot on right now.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about a couple of things, Rico. In the world of sports right now, the NFL has kind of been hold. They've had the benefit of standing by and watching, Major League Baseball and the NBA and stuff, kind of not necessarily mess up, but go through things to see what's going to work and what's not going to work, how players feel about certain things. Granted, you have players that are in leagues on, that are just different. Baseball players are just vastly different from like a football player or a basketball player, but they've been able to sit back and watch and see what didn't work. Well, today they announced that that they've agreed. They've agreed to a few things. Basically, this coming Tuesday, the players are going to report to camp as scheduled. Some of the things I was seeing is, so NFL teams have to get down to 80 players before August 16th, and they can have no more than 80 players in their facility at any given time. So cut down to 53 is on September 5th. So things are a little bit the same, but they're also a little bit different. But the practice squad increases from 12 players to 16 players. But basically, they're allowing players to opt out due to the coronavirus stuff. So they basically have there's two types of opt outs. You have a high risk if you're exposed to the coronavirus directly. And you'll get a $350,000 stipend, but the season will not count towards like your retirement, so it's not going to go towards your final. It's not going to go as an accrued season. And then there's a voluntary, which is $150,000 stipend that the player will get, and also the salary will advance to the next year, so it will not count as a season as well. So if you're a team like the Seahawks, where you got some guys on the final years of their contracts, KJ Wrights, guys like that, you got them on, that last year. How do you feel about that? You think there's going to be a lot of NFL players that opt out, or you think guys are going to just be coming in ready to play now that they have testing and things of that nature?
As you were talking, man, I was pulling up the statement. Roger Goodell released a statement about 3 hours ago. It says the NFL clubs and NFL Players Association approved an agreement that broadly resolves outstanding issues related to the opening of training camp and the start of the 2020 season. Training camp will begin as scheduled. We have worked collaboratively to develop a comprehensive set of protocols designed to minimize risk for fans, players, and club and league personnel. These plans have been guided by the medical directors of the NFL and the NFL Players Association, and have been reviewed and endorsed by independent medical and public health experts, including the Centers for Disease Control and many state and local public health officials. The season will undoubtedly present new and additional challenges, but we are committed to playing a safe and complete 2020 season, culminating with a Super Bowl. Man, I'm not on board with this. I think this is foolish. I mean, everyone has an opinion. Mine is that pro sports, not just the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, man, they need to pause for a second. And my opinion is based on two things. One, if you get sick right now, there is not a treatment. Two, we don't have adequate testing. Until we can get treatment and testing, and I know treatment comes in different forms. I'm not even talking about a vaccine. I'm talking about just getting treatment. You know, if
Right.
me, you have friends that have been exposed or have family members of friends or friends of friends, man, essentially, if you get sick, now, granted, they're not millionaire athletes, but if you get sick, they're going to send you to the hospital. And if it's not life or death, you can breathe on your own, they're going to send you home with basically nothing. They're going to give you some kind of flu treatment, but that is not COVID treatment. So in my opinion, I understand that, you know, there's a lot of money that's being missed by not playing. But at the same time, you know, I think Russell Wilson said it best last week. You know, he has a pregnant wife, and as you know, today, you know, Sierra gave birth. If I read my tweet right, is his name Win? W-I-N? I think that was the
Win Wilson.
So I mean, like, you're gonna go be around 53-man roster. Any of those guys could be exposed, and you're gonna go home to your newborn baby. I don't know, man. It ain't worth it to me. But I mean, you know, I'd love to hear your opinion. My thing is safety, man. I would feel much better if there was treatment and a vaccine. Absent that, I don't want to put my health at risk for. I don't want to put my health at risk. I mean, you know, for whatever reason. I mean, not voluntarily, but that's just me, man. I know everybody got different opinions. I'm not on that page.
Yeah, I think I fall somewhere in between completely shutting it down and playing. I'm down for a delay. But you know, selfishly, I want football because, like, I'm a football fanatic, like a lot of us are. But you know, there's a part of me that just says, well, are there things in the process with the NFL that can help kind of regulate some of this stuff? Like, the NFL cannot go in a bubble like the NBA has, right? It's just not a possibility. Just because there's just too many people with their personnel and things of that nature that are involved. You know, I just don't see personnel as being something that is achievable. One thing that I was kind of surprised about, man. You know, I just don't. I don't get what took so long, because I feel like the conclusion that they came to was not a conclusion that they should have taken as long to come up with. Basically, what they said is they're going to test players every day, and once the number is below 5%, that they will start testing players every other day, as long as it stays below 5%. So I think when they do their initial round of testing for the virus, that you're going to hear about a lot of players that are testing positive. The only thing I don't want is I don't want to get into things that are just kind of like, oh, we're week 4 and now we got to shut it down. You know, I don't want to go to that place. So I'm with you when this stuff is happening. You know, Rico, did you want to share your screen? Did you want to show something?
Man, I'm scrolling my Twitter feed. Like, I found that that tweet that I just read.
Right, the Russell Wilson tweet.
Yeah, and it's a picture of him with this baby.
There we go. Here we can do this. Yeah, we can do this right here, and then you can.
Yeah, there's a picture of him and the newborn, man. So,
yeah,
you know, that's pretty dope, man. So I just wanted to throw that up there.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be excited about that? You know, like, you know, you're having a kid, and so I think anyone who's really being honest with themselves is very, very should be worried. You know, whether you're 18 years old or you're 80 years old, you should be worried. This is we haven't seen a pandemic like this. You know, I was talking to my stepmom not too long ago, and she was alive for the smallpox pandemic, and she was telling me about how she remembers as a young kid, she was standing in line, these long lines, and they were to get the smallpox shot. And you know, that was a pandemic. That was a real thing. A lot of people were dying from that. And so you know, we're kind of in that position now. There are a lot of people out there that are dying from this. Whether or not they had pre-existing conditions and things of that nature, we don't really know. But yeah, my buddy Ryan here, Rico, he says that he thinks that, if I can get the comment, there we go. It says he said, I think everyone wants to just play, and I don't think any player will really opt out. I think there's a lot of NFL players that kind of agree with that sentiment, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of players that are worried, and so I think now that the NFL has kind of given some of these players a way out with the stipend and stuff like that, that there might be some players that sit out. There might be people who are in similar contract situations to, you know, Russell Wilson, Pat Mahomes, where they're making big time money, where they don't necessarily have to play. But there's guys that are on practice squads or, you know, barely on that bubble of a roster that are going to have to jump in there and play. They don't really have an option. And so we'll see how that goes. But let's go ahead. I saw today that Alex Smith's doctors finally cleared him to play in the NFL again. He hasn't played since the 2018 season. Before we hopped on here, I actually ran across a picture of Alex Smith's leg, and I was like, "Wow, that thing is gross." And I know you've seen it. What do you think about, like, Alex Smith potentially joining the Washington football team again and attempting to play quarterback?
Hang it up, bro. Hang it up, man. I mean, Alex Smith was above average, but you know, who am I? I mean, you know, hey, if this is all you done all your life, you know, above average success, you know, so on a personal note, my father died on St. Patrick's Day, man. And you know, when you get to a point in your life and you're just like, I want to do, you know, I want to live my life the way that I want to live it. After that gruesome of an injury, after all the things that he's been through, and he wants to go out there and compete at the highest level, who are we to tell him not to? You know what I mean? So
right.
I look at it for what's my boy's name up in Andrew Luck, you know. Man, count your money, man, and go home and be happy with your family. And you know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, I need to look it up. I mean, what kind of career earnings does Alex Smith have? I mean, do you really, you know, need to go out there and you know, I don't know. I mean, who are we to say? I mean, my dad died the way that he wanted to die, you know. I just pulled it up real quick on Sports Track. Alex Smith signed a 4-year, $94 million contract with the Redskins with a $27 million signing bonus. $71 million of the $94 million was guaranteed, with an average salary of $23.5 million a year. In 2020, Smith will earn a base salary of $16 million while carrying a cap hit of $21 million and a dead cap value of $32. I mean, maybe he's doing it because he feels like he owes him because, you know, they paid him. I mean, they just paid him $94 million, man. I mean, that's damn near $100 million. I mean, hey, there's some responsibilities, obligation that go along with that. I get it, but nobody's going to be mad if Alex Smith never showed back up to it and kind of organized team activities.
Yeah, and to be honest, you know, there's a real situation where, regardless of what happens this year, whether he plays at all, starts, any of that type of stuff, there's a real chance that he gets cut after the season, because 2018 he made 18.4, 19 he made 20, 2020 he's scheduled to make 21.4, after that 24, and then 26. So those are some pretty hefty cap numbers, and so he could find himself being cut after this season, or maybe even before the season.
Who cares? Go on and cut me, man. I already got $71 million guaranteed. I mean,
yeah.
Cut me for what? If nothing else, you can go ahead and continue to mentor Dwayne Haskins, or what's the quarterback's name? The backup that they drafted.
Yeah, that's Dwayne Haskins. Yeah, the guy at Ohio State. He played a little bit last year, and he really started to come around towards the end of the season.
That's a hell of a mentoring salary impact.
Right.
Yeah.
So my buddy Ryan here, he chimed in again. He says maybe Ted Ginn Jr. will opt out because he's like 67 years old. Yeah, Ted Ginn's been in the league for a hot minute. I remember watching him in college. You know.
Did you see T.O. working out with Tyreek Hill the other day?
Yeah, we had T.O., Tyreek Hill, and who was the other guy? I don't really remember. Oh, it was Chad Johnson.
Yeah, running. I saw him there, but I didn't see him running. Was he running?
Yeah, they all were in a I guess a speed competition or whatever, running 40s or something like that. But man, I'll tell you this right now, T.O. still got them wheels at 40.
Hey, Tariq made the mistake of spotting him 10 yards and never caught him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah,
I saw
Ryan. Yeah, he said Ocho Cinco was there. Yeah, for sure. You know, and on top of that, Ocho Cinco still got some wheels himself. I mean, if you know, T.O. and Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, both kind of head cases as far as NFL wide receivers went in their time, and so that's kind of what ultimately pushed them out. But Rico, let's talk about something real quick. We have last week we did a schedule review for the Dallas Cowboys. You know, game by game prediction. We went through game by game, kind of talked about a few things. Today we're here to do this for the Seahawks. I put on my Lofa Tatupu jersey that actually my buddy Ryan that's commenting here, he actually gave it to me when I was in Seattle last. But our guy that here on the Flex Network that we call the SnowMan, he predicted that the Cowboys would go 6-10, and that was met with a lot of a lot of smoke and fight from a lot of the Cowboys fans who tune into our channel here. I said that they would go 9-7.
Hold on, why you calling him SnowMan?
Well, his name is Eric Snow, but he goes by the SnowMan. Yeah. Yeah, we call him the, you know, we call him we call him the SnowMan. Oh, Ryan's breaking some news over here for us. He says the guard for the Chiefs just opted out. Yeah, I think that's something that we're going to continue to see as time rolls on.
So look, man, when we look at the college ranks, and they've been having 30-man camps or training camps or workouts, whatever you want to call them. There has yet to be a college that got 30, college players together and someone not leave with a positive test. I mean, I don't see how we're going to expect college to, try to get some kind of organized team activity together at 30 people. And here we are with the NFL trying to get a 53-man roster. It's not going to happen, man. There's going to be a lot of opt-outs, man. It's going to be a lot of opt-outs. I mean, we saw it in the NBA. Some of those players just said, nah. I can't remember the player, but the reason why the Lakers signed J.R. Smith is because one of the players' son has a asthmatic condition. He's like, I'm not going to go play in this bubble, expose myself, and then go home to my son, which is really no different than what Russell Wilson was saying. Like, it was Russell and it was Tyler Lockett. I don't know if you saw those tweets, but they're saying, like, we want some kind of regulation and guidelines that we're all going to be playing under, and we're not comfortable at this point. Evidently, they got comfortable. But I know there were a lot of players, not only for the COVID piece, but also for the collective bargaining agreement that was just passed in the offseason, they weren't comfortable about. So I don't think Major League, because what was crazy was it Juan Soto for the Nationals last night for their opener?
Yep.
He tested positive the day before and missed the opener, then tested again and was negative. Like, I mean, it goes back to the problem I was saying earlier. Like, we don't have adequate testing. We don't have adequate testing, and even if you test positive, we don't have adequate treatment. So we can't do that for a broad population. How are we going to do it for a micro population? Now, one thing that was cool about the NBA, and I don't know if you saw it, they have this high-tech digital ring that they wear. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that.
I mean, do something. Do something.
Yeah.
But I might have deviated from your original point. You're asking me about the roster, and then you asked me about the schedule. So get me back on track, bro.
Yeah. So we're gonna run through the we're gonna run through the Seahawks schedule here, go game by game, and just talk about whether we think they're gonna win or lose that week. But if I were to force you to pick a record right now for the Dallas Cowboys this season, just to kind of follow up off of last week, what record would you give them? Because I went 9-7, another guy went 6-10. So what do you think?
So I'm truly not a hater, man. I wouldn't do that, man. Only because I haven't gone. I mean, I can go through their schedule, but I haven't. I haven't gone through the Seahawks schedule. Only thing I did on the Seahawks schedule is look at their away games. So I'm like. And if you haven't looked at their schedule, we got a dope away game schedule, man. We're going to be in some nice games, man. Miami, Atlanta. I got it on my phone. So Atlanta is week 1. Miami's week 4. Arizona is week 7. Buffalo, which, that's going to be November. But you been to Buffalo before?
No, I haven't. I would love to go to Buffalo.
So it's probably going to be cold. Then we'll turn around the following week and be in LA. And then November 30th, we're in Philly. Then December 20th, we're in Washington. And then January 3rd, we're in San Fran. I mean, come on, man. Atlanta, Miami, Arizona, Buffalo, LA, Philly, Washington, and San Fran. Hey, I wouldn't mind going to all of those.
Yeah.
With a mask.
Yeah. That's one of the things I said. The NFL is saying, if the governor for the state allows you to attend games at 30% or whatever it is, and you find a way to get a ticket and get in there, the NFL is basically saying you got to wear a mask, which I'm totally down for, man. Like, I don't care about wearing a mask. If I get to see my team and I'm wearing a mask, guess what? I'll wear a gas mask if I get to see my team. Like, I'm down for that. If we're really going to back the science and believe that science is saying that, hey, if you wear a mask and you're not within 6 feet of people, then, you can go to the games. And I mean, I'm down for that. I've been okay. Wearing the mask hasn't really bothered me, here in Texas. Originally, there was a lot of people that were fighting it and didn't want to wear it, but governor passed it and said, hey, we got to wear these masks if we want to combat this thing. So I'm down for that, but let's go ahead and jump into this real quick, Rico. So week 1, you got the Seahawks in Atlanta taking on the Falcons. What's your general synopsis of that game? We've kind of built a rivalry with the Falcons over the last few years. Well, really back since 2012, lost to them in the playoffs in a real tough game.
I was at that game too, by the way.
Yeah, that was a Matt Bryant, man. What can you say about that guy? He kicked that game winner, and it is what it is. But it really kind of lit the fire for the Seahawks, to come back the next year and win the Super Bowl and all that good stuff. So, how you feeling about that game? And give me a win or a loss there for your prediction.
Well, Atlanta hasn't been living up to their potential for a while. I think, based on what we saw, because all we can go on is previous season's performance, we should take Atlanta. I don't know anything about their acquisitions, free agents, rookie signings, anything along those lines. I like what we did as far as strengthening the positions that we needed to strengthen. I don't know why we got 12 tight ends, but we got some solidification on our O-line. We drafted. I'm really going to be looking for this kid, that linebacker. I think did he come from Texas Tech?
Yes, Brooks. He came from
I like
Texas
him, man. he puts me in the mind of Zach Thomas. A little bit faster though. But
Yeah.
we'll see, man. We'll see. I got Seattle with a W.
Okay. Yeah, I'm there too. Atlanta last year really started out rough. Once they came out of their bye week, they were really stepping it up. They started playing a lot better defense. Atlanta can score, right? They got Julio Jones. Matt Ryan's a pretty good quarterback. They can throw the ball all over the field. They can make things happen. So you can't really afford to underestimate them by any means. But you're in a situation where you have to play them tough because they know you. They got a coach that knows you, that knows your scheme, and so you really do have to play them, in the right way as to play sound football. So I just think right now that we're kind of on two different tracks as far as like where our franchise is going, and so I think that Seattle could take that game. And Russell Wilson's just getting better every single year, it seems like. So I got Seattle there, but week 2, the New England Patriots are rolling to town, and they're taking on Seattle. They're coming to Seattle. We haven't seen the Patriots in quite some time in Seattle. I think it might have been since the You Mad Bro game with Richard Sherman when he picked off Tom Brady. Since the last time they were in Seattle. But who do you got there?
That's a tough one, man. I think with the mentorship and coaching of Belichick for Cam Newton, Cam has a lot to prove. I think they're really shortchanged him on the salary. Him and my boy in New Orleans out of Tampa Bay, Crab Legs.
Jameis Winston.
Yeah. Those guys, those guys did not get paid their market value, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough, man. Raise your hand if you think Belichick is not going to have his team prepared.
Yeah, seriously.
Right? And getting out-coached is something that happened to us in a Super Bowl for a loss when we could have been back-to-back world champions. So,
right.
And that's something that we really didn't talk about because that has been my biggest concern ever since we got rid of I'm losing his name right now. Schottenheimer. Who was before Schottenheimer?
Oh, Darrell Bevell.
Look, man, Schottenheimer is the reincarnation of Bevell, as far as I can see. I mean, what is our identity as an offense? Are we?
We want to run the ball first and pass second. I think any Seahawks fan understands that. And we'd gone through some years of really struggling to run the ball when we had Alex Collins and Eddie Lacy and guys like that weren't legit big time running backs. But I think over the last couple of years we've kind of rediscovered that to a point where we've kind of stepped on our own feet because we run the ball too much.
Well, and I got a different twist on that, man. I think that we did not have the personnel to run the ball the way we were trying to run the ball, where we should have, in my opinion, and again, we're sitting behind computer screens, not on the sidelines, but
right.
The challenge that I had with Bevell that continued over into Schottenheimer is that if we're going to call a particular type of offense, then we need to have personnel to execute it. And if we don't have the personnel, then we need to figure out a way to not call bubble screens every third down where everybody knows that's what we're fixing to do. But I don't feel like we played to our strengths, and running the ball wasn't our strength. Now, Carson was good. Last year it was decent, but those years prior to that, man, Russell was getting his head knocked around. I think he was in a leading, if not the leader in sacks. So what are we gonna do with New England? And we're playing at New England. Is that correct?
No, they're coming to Seattle.
They're coming to Seattle.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with us for the home field advantage.
Okay.
And again, I mean, give me our top 3 wide receivers right now. Who are they? We know Lockett. We know DK. Who else we got?
So there's a mixture of guys. I think, we signed Philip Dorsett. And if you take his numbers from last season and you compare them to our number 3 receiver from last season, you would sign up for Philip Dorsett 10 more times.
Right.
From what he offered. And I think if we're talking Philip Dorsett as a number 3 and he's drawing a nickel corner or a third DB or a linebacker or something like that, he could have a season where he could potentially break out, especially with a quarterback the caliber of Russell Wilson, who understands how to manipulate certain things. So I think Philip Dorsett's there. I think David Moore's there. I think with the potential Josh Gordon reuniting, I think there's a situation there where he could fall into the mix. That's still just a hypothetical, obviously, because we don't even know what that's going to look like, if he's going to play, and if he does play, is he going to be suspended? Like, what does that even look like? He got suspended last year, so he kind of already ate some games. We lost him late in the season, so that remains to be seen. But I think if I had to plug a guy in right now, I would say that Philip Dorsett goes in at 3. And I would say that we can't count on Josh Gordon because he's not technically reinstated yet. So I would say you go David Moore or you go like a John Ursua or something like that. But David Moore seems to be the leader in the clubhouse after the 3rd position.
Give me the depth chart on the running backs.
Right now, I would go Carson 1 if he's actually healthy. If not, I'm going Carlos Hyde. Penny is on the PUP list, so he's not going to start or he's not going to play until I would think week 6 or something like that. But yeah, I would go Carson and Carlos Hyde, and if we can get both of those guys, if you can get Carson healthy and you can get him and Hyde churning at the same time, look out, because we could run the ball down someone's throat with those 2 guys. Hyde, a lot of people see his age. He was 1,000-yard back last season, and I don't care what anybody says. 1,000 yards is the benchmark for a running back. If you hit that, you had a good season.
What do you think about the rookie out of Miami?
DJ Dallas, I love him. From what I've seen, I think Travis Homer's in some big time trouble. He proved last year that he's smaller. He's much more of a I would probably say 3rd down back, receiving threat, that type of stuff. He's not a between the tackles guy. I think we kind of said that without saying it late in the season last year when we decided to bring back Marshawn Lynch and who's the other guy we brought back? Robert Turbin, even though I don't even think he went on the field for one play, but we brought them both back, and Marshawn got his touchdowns and all that good stuff, and we handed him the ball on the goal line, which was nice to see. Yeah, I mean, I think running back will be okay, and I think DJ Dallas has the potential to shock some people. So I'm excited to see kind of where that goes and what that's going to look like.
I agree with you.
So you like DJ Dallas in?
Yeah, man, I'm interested to see what he can do. I'll be honest with you, man. I was not an early adopter of Chris Carson, and primarily the reason why because I had on my fantasy team he was always hurt. And when I would watch him play, man, he would show sparks, and you would see that if he could stay healthy. I think last year was probably the longest stretch that I saw him healthy, and then he got hurt. And so. Injuries are part of the game. You got to give the man credit for that. But if this guy out of Miami can stay healthy, man, he has some wheels. He has some elusiveness. He has a burst of power. Penny's nice, but I mean, this game, man, you got to stay healthy, bro. And You know, I mean, when you think of the great backs, man, these guys are healthy guys. You know,
Right.
you might have some injuries here and there, but you know, Penny's so young that if this is his only career injury, or not only, but this is a minor bump in the road in terms of injuries, then that's cool. But if it goes much more, what you need consistency, man. We have not had consistency at running back since beach mode.
Yeah.
And granted, that is a high bar, man. I mean, that's a high bar to ask of anybody because there's only one of those dudes, man. There's only one of those dudes. But I take Seattle, man, at home against New England, and that week 3. What you
That's
got?
the matchup. That's the matchup. On the running back topic there's a reason people say the best ability is availability. I mean, you just look at guys like as much as certain people don't like him, Ezekiel Elliott, he's never been injured. He's always there. He's consistent. And I think that's what Seattle kind of needs to aim for. Seattle's been very reachy in the first round and even the second round over the last few years. So it'll be interesting to see. But I'll say week 3, man. I really have us going on a little bit of a win streak here to start the season. But I think week 3, Seattle's gonna I think they're gonna beat the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are gonna come to town and we're gonna. I don't know. I think we're gonna be able to beat them. I think that we can out physical them at the line of scrimmage. They have some very tough defensive linemen, but I'm kind of hoping that our offensive line can get into a position to be semi-successful. I mean, I think Pete Carroll and John Schneider are both big-time believers in the offensive linemen that they have mixed in with tight ends and all that stuff. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that, man. And I think the dynamic of Will Dissly coming back hopefully can help. Greg Olsen, I'm expecting kind of I won't say a monster season from him or anything like that, but I think that he's going to go vastly underrated throughout the season, and I think we're going to count on him a lot. Russell Wilson has shown that he is very tight end friendly, wants to throw the ball to tight ends a lot, and so if that happens, then great. And I also think that Dallas doesn't have any corners. They got that kid Trayvon Diggs. I think did he go to Alabama? I don't quite remember where he went, but he's Stephon Diggs' little brother. I think he's a good corner, but he's a rookie. I think DK, the combination of DK, Tyler Lockett, and whoever else is playing at receiver is going to be able to take advantage of that. So, I think the Seahawks win there.
Yeah,
in Seattle.
So let me ask you this before we get to the field. When we know in week 2 who we got in week 3, and we know it's the Dallas Cowboys, who do you trust? Whose game plan do you think is superior? Do you trust Pete Carroll, or do you trust Mike down there in Dallas?
Mike McCarthy?
Yeah.
I do not trust Mike McCarthy for a second.
Really?
I watched.
You don't give him credit.
What'd you say? I don't think what?
You don't think he's credit worthy on the offensive or just overall game plan?
I think he's credit worthy, but after watching him with Aaron Rodgers, who was the best quarterback in the NFL for, I think Aaron Rodgers is just leaving his prime just now. But I think that Mike McCarthy wasted a good chunk of years with Aaron Rodgers. They had a team together that could have potentially ran and got some more Super Bowls, but I mean they ran into us one year in the NFC Championship, so it is what it is. But I think I don't know if I would give Pete Carroll the edge offensively, but as far as like a big picture as the team, I would give it to Pete Carroll. But if we're talking strictly offense, I would give it to Mike McCarthy. I know that he can draw up some stuff. He knows how to beat teams. He's played the Seahawks plenty of times. He understands the Seahawks about as well as any other coach in the NFL. So he's got a chance. But I would still give the edge to Seattle. I think we find a way to come out on top on that one.
Well, and I agree with you, but I go back to the challenge that I have with Pete Carroll's game plan overall, which is why I think Bevel was able to do the things that he's done, and what Schottenheimer's been able to do the things that he's done, is that we basically are going to play you close and try to come out top on the end. When's the last time you seen Seattle just blow somebody out?
I mean, it's been about 3 years, but I'll tell you, I'm 32 years old, Rico. Last season aged me about 5 years because we had all those one-score games, and it's not even one score. I'm talking 1 point. I mean, I think we beat the Cincinnati Bengals in week 1 by 1 point or something like that, and there's no reason for that.
No, I don't get it, bro.
Yeah. So who do you got week 3 matchup?
I got Seattle, man.
Okay.
But again, there's some unknowns, man. I mean,
right.
One of the ways that I keep abreast of what other teams are doing is fantasy football, man. And I play all the major sports, man. I play football, basketball, baseball, and fantasy, man. And I don't know who they got, man. I don't know who the Cowboys picked up. I mean, I saw it, but I mean that stuff didn't register. I'll be honest with you, man. It's been like, it's been real life, man. Like I said, my pops died, man.
Right.
Fantasy has been the furthest thing from my mind. And I'm sure there's some other people that are the same way. Like, there's some people that I'm missing that I know that we're probably going to be impactful, or at least have some chance at competing for a starting position or making the roster for the Seahawks. It's been so long since the draft. I really kind of forgot about who they were. I haven't been looking at it. And maybe I'm alone, but I just my mind's been other places, man. I go back to how we started the podcast. Scrap the season, bro. Scrap the season. I mean,
yeah.
Financially, it probably just is tough, it's difficult, but I just don't see this being the risk reward. I mean, and who knows what they're thinking. At some level, it may be that, hey, everybody's stuck at home. Maybe the viewership will be record setting. Probably will be record setting. But is it worth those 53 men going back home to their families? So all in all, I'm always going to roll with the Seahawks over the Cowboys, and definitely over Miami on week 4.
Yeah. So I'm there also. Win over Miami, and then Seattle takes on in my opinion, a very dangerous Minnesota Vikings team.
Let me pause you real quick. Who's the quarterback for Miami? Who's the quarterback for Minnesota?
So Miami last year had Rosen, who started, and I think, was it Ryan Fitzpatrick that took over? I believe it was Ryan Fitzpatrick that took over, and he's still there. But Miami drafted Tua from Alabama, so there's a real chance that Tua starts over Ryan Fitzpatrick. And quarterback for Minnesota is Kirk Cousins, who quietly is very consistent with his yards and touchdowns and things of that nature. The problem with him is he kind of disappears in the big moments, the game-winning drives, the things of that nature. And so, a lot of people don't like him for that. They say he's very inaccurate. They say that he's robbing the whole state of Minnesota of $70 million or whatever he's getting.
And Minnesota at 6 last year and made the playoffs.
So. Yeah. And so Seattle has 5 consecutive wins over has 5 consecutive wins over Minnesota in recent memory. So this is actually where I'm giving Seattle the first loss of the season. I just think that it's a tough game. They always play play Seattle close, it seems like, or a very competitive physical game. Michael here says only dangerous part of Vikings is fact they signed Zimmer to an extension and their run game. Yeah, Dalvin Cook, running back out of Minnesota, is really he's one of the better running backs in the league. So there's no question about that. Rico, where are you going there? Where do you think what do you think happens that week? What are we talking? Week 6.
Week 6 is a bye. 5 is,
or sorry, week 5. Yeah.
Week 5 we're at CenturyLink Field. I'm going with us at home. We kind of our home dominance, but I think this is the season we get it back. You know, I don't see. I think that one of the underlying factors I think is coming into place. Pete Carroll's the oldest coach in the league. I mean, you know, are they grooming his successor now?
Who might his successor be?
Well, I mean, the thought would, you know, if you look in-house first, then, you know, I'm gonna expect more from Schottenheimer than I have previously, because if how many more seasons you give Pete? You know, I mean, 72.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I don't know how many seasons he has left. And it's a divorce that's happening, that's going to happen, but it's kind of like, as a Seahawks fan, you're like, man, he's made us legit, because if you were in the dark days with me, you understand how bad we were for so many years, for so long. I grew up Seattle being bad, so it wasn't much to me. So, but yeah, I mean, it's tough.
It's tough. Yeah, it is tough, man. But to your point, I think you kind of alluded to this earlier. If you give them this first loss of the week, I might be okay with that, only because we have a bye week 6. Now, when we come off that bye, man, it's going to be tough sledding. Arizona, San Francisco, Buffalo, the Rams, Arizona again, Philly. Then week 13, we're going to have the Giants. So, I mean, like you said, man, those next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks and the Giants, hey, man, hey, it's come earn your money time. After that bye week, it's come earn your money time. And so, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna give them the win because they're at home. But at the same time, you want to go into your bye week on a win, not an L. You don't want to sit at home thinking about woulda, coulda, shouldas, and we took this loss, you know, for the next week while you watch everybody else play and try to get your body right. So I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, so then week 6 bye, and then Seahawks, Cardinals, in week 7. Who do you got there?
I got the Cardinals, man. We're gonna be down at State Farm Stadium in Arizona. I you know, what we don't know is what's going on with Kyler Murray and the weapons that they got, because they got some weapons, man. I can't remember those guys,
yeah.
But I was looking at that draft. I was like, they're getting him some help. You know, they're getting him some help.
They obviously were a part of that trade with the Texans, and they got DeAndre Hopkins, and then they drafted the kid out of Arizona State. Is a big body wide receiver. I think he's a little bit rougher on the edges, but I think that he's going to turn into something, and, you know, a good place to be with a young quarterback, young head coach, a proven wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, who is arguably the best in the NFL. And so, you know, there's some stuff there. They got some pieces. I think where they struggle is defensively. They don't have depth. And so I think that's what's going to hurt them. I think that they'll take some steps forward as far as win total and things of that nature. I just don't think that they're quite up to that level yet. But let's face it, the NFC West is the best division in football. I don't care what anybody says. We got the most playoff ready teams. Let's see. Michael here says he says I'm in Arizona and these cars are gonna are gonna pop, and they got my Clemson boy D Hop. Yeah, he's right about that. You know, they're gonna be good. I think they're gonna shock some teams, but
I think that's the
I'm
first
with
the season, man. It's an away game, coming off of a bye. I think if we have a chance to lose a game, I'm not going with the L at home. I'm gonna go with the L on the road, and that might be the first one. I don't know much about Arizona's defense. Offensively, they got weapons, bro.
yeah. So we'll move on next week. 49ers, Seahawks, the division rival, the 1 and 2 seeds of the NFC West this last year, literally settled by what are we calling that? 6 inches of 6 inches away from scoring a touchdown late in that game that would have given Seattle the win if they would have scored. That shook up the entire NFC playoff picture with that single play. When Russell Wilson threw a little crosser to Jacob Hollister, didn't get in the end zone. So
I got Seattle. We're playing at home.
Yeah,
I got Seattle.
Yep, me too. I'm right there with you. Seattle with the W there. So let's move on. We got Seahawks at Bills. I'm really excited for this matchup. I think the Bills are going to be a much improved team. They got a very legit defense. Buffalo does. Their quarterback is pretty good. He's a rushing threat. A lot of people don't realize that. He's a very good rushing quarterback. And if someone gets behind the defense, he can throw the football to the mountains. So that's something to pay attention to. Who do you have in this game, Rico?
I got Buffalo, man.
Buffalo, really? Okay. In Buffalo.
Buffalo.
You know what?
And it's cross country, man. What's a flight from Seattle to Buffalo? 12 hours. I mean, not 12 hours, but a good 6 hours.
I mean, but it's you're right though. That's one of the longer flights that you can take in the United States from the western side of the country all the way to the eastern side of the country. So it's one of the longer flights that you can take. So that's a very long flight. Buffalo is going to be cold. So we're talking Buffalo November 8th, right?
Yeah.
So starting to get colder. I mean, if it was in Texas, November 8th ain't nothing. It's probably 70 degrees November 8th here, but in Buffalo, New York, that's an issue. It could be snowing. You don't even know. So let's get this comment here. Michael Yeager here. He said, what's the news on Carson currently? Well, Chris Carson injured his hip, had surgery. And if you run over to Chris Carson's Twitter, you can see he had posted some workout videos. He looks like he's in ridiculous shape right now. His traps look like they grew 4 times the size that they were before. I know that he had posted some videos there of him working out and stuff like that. And so hip with him late in the season, a little bit annoying, a little bit frustrating because he was doing so well. And I personally believe that if Seattle could have had their actual running backs in that playoff game against Green Bay, the game could have been totally different. But in that situation, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right, Rico? You can't really count on that stuff. So, but yeah, Carson looks like he's on the mend. Looks like he's doing okay. Michael here saying again, he said as big as Ed Hockley's. No, the answer is no to that. Ed Hockley's got the biggest shoulders, biggest biceps in the game. I'm pretty sure he retired though, so that's not really happening anymore. But yeah, so you know what, Rico, I'm actually giving the Seahawks an L in Buffalo as well, and we're gonna keep it moving. So I have the Seahawks going. Loss before the bye, loss after the bye, win, and then another loss. So our schedules are doing a little bit different here, but let's keep it moving. So we got Seahawks and Rams, November 15th on Fox.
I got an L there. And
yeah.
L.
You got a W for the
Nope,
Seahawks?
I got the Seahawks taking an L in LA.
Oh, an L. Okay, okay. I'm on the train of I don't think that the Rams are going to be good at all this year. So I'm actually thinking that um, they're really going to be struggling. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the W to the Seahawks there, and that obviously remains to be seen what's going to happen. But we'll keep it moving here. Another matchup with the Cardinals Thursday night football. Uh, you know, Cardinals rolling to Seattle this time.
I got a W at home.
Yes, sir. Me too. I got a W at home as well. It doesn't matter where the Cardinals are, whether they're an undefeated team or a winless team. They're just always a threat to us. I don't know why, man. There's just something about the Cardinals that they always play us tough. So, um, that's where we're at. Then Seahawks, Eagles, Monday Night Football. What do you think about that one? Eagles are a very hyped team this season.
We're gonna show
So,
up for a big game. All eyes on us. You know,
uh-huh.
um, we're gonna take the Monday nighter. I think our record is
Yeah.
something ridiculous for Monday nights too.
Yeah, prime time. Seahawks in prime time are big time. So, yeah, I think that I haven't really been impressed by anything that the Eagles have done all that much. That remains to be seen. Are the Eagles going to sign Jadeveon Clowney? Are we going to sign Jadeveon Clowney? Who knows? Is Carson Wentz going to stay healthy? We don't really know. Deshaun Jackson's got some other problems of his own, but we'll see what happens. See, our guy Michael Yeager here, he's really bothered. He's a big Eagles fan, so he seems to think that the Eagles are just gonna take it. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, Giants, Seahawks, December 6th. What do you think there?
I think we're gonna beat the Giants, man.
Yeah.
Giants, coming to our stadium. They're making a cross country trip just like we did the couple weeks back to Buffalo. I don't even know that they have, gotten to a place where they got anything solidified on their side. Eli's out now. Shaquan Barkley's a beast. They're going to test our defense, but offensively, I think our defense shuts them down. I'm more concerned with the other New York team the following week.
Right. Do you think with the New York Giants that we have an opportunity to kind of have one of those wins where it's a significant point gap, or do you think we're still just going to play them close because that's what we do?
I think by week, that's a week 12 game. I think by that time we should have identified where we are as a team, and our identity should be pretty clear at that point.
Right. I'm right there with you. Okay, so next week, after that, we got December 13th, Jets and Seahawks.
I think the Jets are sneaky good. Didn't they get Ron Rivera?
No, Ron Rivera went to the Washington football team.
And that's what we have week 15.
Yes.
So, again, home game for both New York teams. I'm going to take W's on that.
Okay.
Curious to see what how Washington's coming around, because they always had good pieces to the puzzle. I don't know that they've had a head coach worth the damn in the last decade.
Yeah, Adam Gase there, head coach for the New York Jets, being called out by Jamal Adams today. There's a lot of issues going on there, dysfunction from the top to the bottom. So
Washington, Washington too, man. There's I think they got a sexual lawsuit or discrimination suit or something going on.
Right. Big time. Yeah. So we keep it moving. I think we both give Seattle a win there. We move on to Seattle and the Washington football team, formerly known as the Redskins. Like you had alluded to just a second ago, there are 12 current women who claim who claim sexual harassment or any of that type of stuff against various different men who worked for the Washington football team, and 11 of them signed NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, which is a legal document that basically says that you're not allowed to talk about it. One woman did not, and she's the one talking about it. And I think the reason the other women signed it was because they were worried that they would, be hit with the lawsuit. And when you're a guy like Dan Snyder, who's a billionaire, what kind of lawyer do you think you can get that could go fight Dan Snyder? You're probably not going to be able to get one. So, so that one woman is speaking out about it, and good for her. Women deserve to be treated as fairly as men in the workplace, and and that just kind of like I said dysfunction when I talked about the Jets. We're just rolling into more dysfunction with the Redskins. A lot of things up in the air. We talked about Alex Smith earlier. We talked about Dwayne Haskins. The Redskins got a running back in Darius Geis who cannot stay healthy and stay on the field. The Redskins don't really have anyone at receiver outside of their second-year wide receiver, Terry McLaurin. So we'll see what goes down there. I think this is a game that the Seahawks win pretty easily, in my opinion.
I agree with you, bro. Again, I don't know much about what their acquisitions have been, but let's see what happens, man. I think Ron Rivera is a good coach.
Yeah. Okay, and then we move on. Rams, 2 days after Christmas. Rams Seahawks. Who do you got in this one?
Well, again, I like us at home. I'm gonna take the Seahawks.
Yeah, at home, I'm there with you because, like I said earlier, I am not believing in anything the Rams are doing this season. I think they're in trouble. So we'll see what happens there. And then we're going to close out the season January 3rd. It says a 3:25 game, but let's face it, it's probably going to be flexed to a primetime slot, whether that's Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, whatever. Seahawks 49ers. This time in San Francisco, Santa Clara, wherever the heck they're playing these days, Who do you got in this one?
I think we're going to end the season on a high note and go into the playoffs and, make a nice little run.
Okay. So you're saying the dub there. Man, see, that one's so difficult for me because I'm expecting them to be pretty good again. You know what? I think I'll Jeez, I think I'll go L there just because we've been kind of messing up late, last game of the season. I mean, we even did it last year. Last game of the season, we dropped to the Cardinals, just kind of like, okay, whatever. So you have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You have 12-3. You know what, Rico? I hope you're right. I would love for you to be right in that situation. Sorry, I said 12-3, 13-3. I counted wrong. I was like, wait, we're one game short. And then I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I went 12-4. So either way, 13-3, 12-4. We're obviously talking about if things go right. If injuries aren't a major factor, if all of those things, we're talking about if things go right. So let's hope that one of us is right. You'd be happy with 13-3. I'd be happy with 12-4. Either one would be great. Because Rico, this year, number one team in the NFC is the only team that's getting the first round bye. So that's a major thing that we're doing. There's no first round bye for the number 2 seed in the NFC. So we got to do what we can to try and lock up that number 1 seed. A lot of people have already just penciled in the 49ers again. So we'll have to figure out what's going to happen there. New Orleans is always there. Green Bay is always there. So we got some teams out there that, some of them we can beat and handle on our own, but there's other things that we need to happen. So, Rico, I'll just say this, man. I appreciate you hopping on the podcast, talking a little Seahawks with me. once again, if you guys want to reach Rico on Twitter, you can find him at Rico Connects. You can find me on Twitter at FlexMike11. Like and subscribe to our podcast, the Flex Network, on every podcasting platform. We are out there. Go find our Facebook page. We're on Facebook, and just search the Flex Network. We're there. We're posting content daily. We have stuff going all the time. We do a lot of breaking news on there. The Flex Network was actually one of the first people to break the news of Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. getting ready to box here in about a month and a half. So that'll go down in Los Angeles, California, with Nate Robinson, former NBA player, boxing. I think his name's Jake Paul on the undercard. So another Seattle kid, Nate Robinson, all 3'6" of them over there trying to box somebody. So we'll see what happens, man. And
Nate's in shape. Have you seen his workout videos? Nate's in shape, brother.
Yeah. He was playing in the flag football tournaments that the NFL Network was airing. So I know he's in shape. He's in fighting shape. So he'll get there in actual boxing shape. I believe that. He's an athlete, man. He's not going to show up unprepared. So looking forward to all that. But Rico, man, I really appreciate you hopping on the podcast with me, man. So he's Rico. I'm Flex Mike. Until next time, we will catch you guys later.